We start the program with something that is helpful for you. So support for the Don Lemon Show comes from Z-Biotics. Let me tell you, this stuff is a game changer. I use it before a night out with friends or dinner events when I know there will be drinks involved, and it's called pre-alcohol. And it's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic created by real PhD scientists to help you feel your best the next day. Now, here's how it works, okay? When you drink, alcohol turns into a toxic byproduct in your gut, and that's what causes those rough mornings. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks that stuff down so your body can bounce right back. It'll bounce back faster. The first time I tried it was before a dinner party in the city. I told you about that glass of wine, maybe two. I laughed too loud, really loud. And the next morning, sharp, no fog, ready to go. So fall is here right now, which means games, game days, tailgates, and Sunday watch parties. So make Z-Biotics pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and enjoy great days after celebrating all season long. So go to zbiotics.com/lemon. Use the code LEMON for 15% off of your first order. It's backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose. That's zbiotics.com/lemon, code LEMON. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5, the Don Lemon Show on the Don Lemon channel. We're here and we have a great show for you. Man, I have some really exciting guests. I have Mr. Tom Nichols from The Atlantic, and I also have DL Hughley, DL is mad and up in arms about everything. So hang on to your everything because I have some good guests. So, and I'm going to start this evening. I'd like to start this show. First of all, as I tell you, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the like because it affects the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation and our channel. And that's very important out here on these streaming streets. But I want to start the show by reading some of my guests' latest piece for The Atlantic. And I'm quoting here. And he's on the same page with me about where we are right now. And it's called "The Civil Military Crisis is Here. The leaders of the U.S. military may soon face a terrible decision." It's by Tom Nichols. And he says, quote, "To capture a democratic nation, authoritarians must control three sources of power: the intelligence agencies, the justice system, and the military. President Donald Trump and his circle of would-be autocrats have made rapid progress towards seizing these institutions and detaching them from the Constitution and rule of law. The intelligence community has effectively been muzzled, and the nation's top lawyers and cops are being purged and replaced with loyalist hacks. Only the military remains outside Trump's grip, despite the firing of several top officers and Trump's threat to fire more. The U.S. armed forces are still led by generals and admirals whose oath is to the Constitution, not to the commander-in-chief. But for how long? Trump and his valet at the Defense Department, Secretary of Physical Training, Pete Hegseth, are now making a dedicated run at turning the men and women of the armed forces into Trump's personal and partisan army. In his first term, Trump regularly violated the sacred American tradition of the military's political neutrality. But people around him, including retired and active duty generals such as James Mattis, John Kelly, and Mark Milley, restrained some of his worst impulses. Now, no one is left to stop him. The president learned from his first term struggles and this time has surrounded himself with a cabinet of sycophants and ideologues rather than advisors, especially those at the Pentagon. He has declared war on Chicago, called Portland, Oregon a war zone, and referred to his political opponents as the enemy from within. Trump clearly wants to use military power to exert more control over the American people, and soon top U.S. military commanders may have to decide whether they will refuse such orders from the commander-in-chief. The greatest crisis of the American civil-military relations in modern history is now underway. That is powerful stuff. And we are grateful and thankful that Mr. Tom Nichols, who wrote that, is here. Tom is a staff writer at The Atlantic and a contributor to The Atlantic Daily newsletter. Why'd you write that, sir? Why'd you feel compelled to write that in this moment? And good evening to you. Thanks for appearing.
Thanks, Don. Thanks for having me. I wrote it because I'm concerned, too. I spent 25 years teaching military officers. I spent a total of almost 30 years at the Naval War College in one capacity or another. And I knew a lot of officers, knew a lot of generals, knew a lot of admirals. And what Trump is doing is so far beyond what any president, I won't even say what any president would have dared to do, what any president would have wanted to do. We've had 46 presidents, 46 presidents. George Washington established this tradition that the military is the people's military. The president is the elected commander in chief, but that the military serves the Constitution, obeys the legal, lawful orders of the president, but it is not the president's militia. And Washington, I wrote about this just before Election Day last year. Washington really worried about that. He really worried about what happens when you have an army, that is just waiting for a Caesar. And I think Trump has just decided that, everything, because this is how he thinks of the presidency. Everything in America belongs to the president. The White House, mine.
Yes.
Artifacts from the Eisenhower Museum, mine. Executive department's mine, all of it. And that the army belongs to him. And now he's going to use that army to extend his power to prevent people. I can't believe I'm saying this because it sounds like such a conspiracy theory, but I think it's still a big part of this is about deflecting attention away from Epstein and
I think
Congress potentially losing in the midterms. And, you're worried. I'm worried.
I think you're 100% right. And I also think when you said he thinks he owns the military, I think he thinks he owns America. I believe that someone needs to give them a civics lesson, all of the folks who are there in Washington, because they think that the American people and the press work for them when it's the other way around. These people are public servants and they work for the American people. And Donald Trump lives in public housing. Somehow they have forgotten that. And I'm not sure how to correct it.
I'm not either, because no one stops him. I mean, he's tearing apart the White House, literally, covering it in glitz and gold, and building himself a ballroom where he can hold court like the northern equivalent of Mar-a-Lago. He held the Republican convention there the last time he was president, which of course is against the law. It's violation.
I've forgotten about that.
Of course, the president,
the big
by the way,
monitors on the lawn.
The president is not subject to the Hatch Act, but everybody else that was standing around is. And you can't use, as you put it, public housing. You can't use government property for political aims. But Trump doesn't care about any of that stuff. And it's one thing to kind of roll your eyes and say, well, when he's gone, we can tear up this stupid ballroom and, put the Rose Garden back and sort of restore the buildings to normal. We're not going to be able to restore the army to normal, especially if he starts firing people and replacing them with loyalists and hacks, as he's done elsewhere. He's done it at the Justice Department. He's trying to do it in the intelligence community. It's a little harder to do in the military because you can't just pluck somebody out of civilian life and say, now you're a 3-star general. You have to have somebody who has some military experience. So it's a little slower going when you're trying to capture the military.
A bit off subject. What did you think? Because I haven't spoken to you. What that ridiculous speech to military commanders and officers last week. I was cringing, and I felt bad for them because I thought it was so disrespectful, especially when you have someone like Donald Trump standing there who is so out of shape, not in good health, and they have the nerve to be lecturing people about the way they look and how much weight they have on their bodies.
The military, senior military, will take a lot from the commander in chief because he's the commander in chief. They have saluted smartly many commanders in chief that they don't happen to like, and I know that for a fact. I mean, I started working the first time I was ever at a military institution. It was during the Reagan administration. It's a very different environment during the Clinton administration, the Obama administration. But whatever their personal feelings, they'll salute. The guy I think that really pissed them off was Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
This passed over major who's, military experience, a couple of years, as a junior officer in the National Guard, not to piss on his service. He served his country. He went where he was sent,
but qualifications are important. Yeah.
On the other hand, as I think it was my colleague Elliot Cohen who pointed out, he was talking Hegseth who really doesn't have a whole lot of experience, was talking to a room that had the accumulated equivalent of 25,000 years of military service in it. You know, you got 840 generals, their aides, their staffs all sitting there. You're literally talking about 25,000 years of service. And this guy's strutting around saying, you know, we're done with that shit. And you guys got to lose some pounds and I got to shave. And I mean, I'm sure, especially considering how many of those guys know, you know, that Pete Hegseth is not has not exactly been a model of virtue in his private life. It was probably pretty galling to have to sit there, you know, and listen to that kind of a speech from somebody like Hegseth.
I want to go through a couple of things with you and I want you to listen to some of the developments throughout the day. This is Donald Trump. Now, see if you can explain to me what he's talking about, because clearly here he's saying, look, it's obvious that Donald Trump has never read the Constitution, or at least does not have a grasp of it or understanding of it. But he's saying we took someone's freedom of speech away. Did you see that? I'll play it for you. Here it is.
Only days ago, Nick Sortor was assaulted in Portland by a flag-burning mob, and we've made it 1 year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts. This is what they do, is they incite. When you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence. We have many examples of it.
Tom, what is he saying there? I took someone's freedom of speech away?
It beats me. You can't take someone's freedom of speech away. Well,
they're trying.
He was reading. I mean, one of the things, and this is just off the subject, I always get physically tense watching Trump try to read, because it's so effortful for him. It's so he struggles with words on the written page, and you can see that he's more comfortable when he kind of sits back and goes into riffing. Look, I think one of the things we just saw in that clip you just played, Don, is one of the things I wrote after that big meeting with the admirals and the generals. I think they walked out of there saying something's not, the commander-in-chief's not okay. There's something wrong with this guy. I mean, you watch it here. You know, if that were your grandfather, you'd be going to your parents and saying, listen, we got to talk about Pop. You know,
Tom, I said that live as he was reading it. I said, can someone tell Grandpa, and can someone take his keys away, as he was saying it? I mean, we have the same thought.
At the moment he was there,
I don't want to freak people out
any worse than they are. But just remember, as he was sitting there doing that, somewhere, if he was doing what he's supposed to do as president, somewhere in his pockets, in his wallet or his jacket or somewhere, he has a little card that has the codes to 1,500 strategic nuclear weapons. And then, you know, goes through this business about we're taking away freedom of speech. What he really means, and I think what he was struggling to say is, if it were up to me, because he kept saying, I've always felt strongly about it, but I can't get it through the courts. If it were up to me, I would take people's freedom of speech away for stuff that I just don't like, which is not the job of the president of the United States, who is sworn to take care that the laws are faithfully executed and to support and defend the Constitution.
Yeah. One more where he's talking about he's going to be far more threatening to American citizens. Here it is.
They have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us. And that includes the people that fund them. Probably some of the people I know, some of the people I dine with. But if they do, they're in deep trouble. So we're going to be looking very strongly at the people that are funding these operations. When you see the signs, and they're all made out of a beautiful paper, beautiful, nice, stiff, very expensive paper with beautiful wood handles, all the same color. They come from very expensive printing machines. These are not people that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists.
He keeps checking his notes. These are paid
Someone
anarchists.
wrote that for him.
Someone wrote that for him, exactly. And I'm guessing it's Stephen Miller, who was sitting, you know, a few seats down from him. You know, it's hard to parse what he's saying. I mean, he goes on, you can see his vocabulary becoming more limited as he gets older. Everything is beautiful. Everything is, you know, like you've never seen. And again, I think I think what he's saying is, I am going to issue executive orders, break the law if I need to, invoke the Insurrection Act, and I'm going to punish people for being liberal Democrats, because what he's clearly trying to do is this thing called Antifa. And by the way, I'm going to be a grumpy old conservative here, and this is why I told people years ago, don't create names. Don't do that. Don't do the Antifa thing, because somebody's going to believe that you guys, you protesters in the streets are like Spectre, or something, because you're giving yourselves a name. And he's latched onto that to say, now this is the equivalent of being a liberal Democrat. And therefore I'm going to declare everybody a terrorist. And I'll just, vent about one more thing, Don. This is the result of over 20 years of promiscuously using the word terrorist to refer to anybody we just don't like or anything that scares us. And Trump is pushing that button. Antifa are terrorists. Democrats who support my opponents are terrorists. Drug runners are narco terrorists. I mean, this is far be it for me to ever argue that Donald Trump is clever, but he does have this kind of lizard brain instinct for button pushing. Yeah. And I think that's all of that kind of mumbling around that you just heard is his way of saying, I'm going to declare everybody who's my opponent to be a terrorist, basically.
And you're right. This report came across not long before we started streaming. The Trump administration officials are seriously discussing invoking Insurrection Act.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are. And during before January 6th, there was talk about that in the investigations into what happened on January 6th, or people in the White House and the DOJ talking about, well, invoke the Insurrection Act. That'll clamp down on anti-Trump protests. I think that they are headed for it. They've been wanting to do it. They've been planning to do it since the day they were elected. Actually, they've been planning to do it in this 4 years that they've been waiting to get back into power. But I have no doubt that they're going to try and invoke the Insurrection Act as a way of quelling and suppressing dissent and public demonstration, taking away people's constitutional rights.
Yeah, look, you mentioned how he has glommed onto that name, and I want to just this is the NBC report. Trump administration officials seriously discussing invoking Insurrection Act, according to sources. But the thing that I want to play for you, because you mentioned how they've glommed onto that name, and this is what Kristi Noem is saying. Now watch. She is comparing Antifa, which is right, anti-fascism is what it stands for, to Hamas. Here it is.
We arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa, and that we are hoping that as we go after her, interview her, and prosecute her, we will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society. I want to thank the new journalists here today for telling their stories and for being able and willing to go to the streets and to cover what's happening here in America. Many times the legacy media has looked the other way, refused to tell the stories. The networks have not really focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter, it will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Oh, brother. Okay, so what the words that stood out to me, a lot of it did, but remove them from the existence in society. Did you catch that?
And also, just a very, that's a very clever formulation. The founder, one of the founders, like this is, the PLO or the IRA or, MS-13 or whatever it is. And it's meant to basically take this thing called Antifa, declare it to be terrorist, and then say everyone who dissents or demonstrates or protests is basically an emanation of this terrorist group that we've decided to identify. I mean, they're laying a legal structure for doing terrible things. And it's not surprising to me that Noam is. I remember years ago when she was still a governor, calling her out as a fraud and someone who was looking to make this kind of jump to Washington to do something like this. And here we are. And I think one thing you have to understand about all these people is that they wouldn't be in Washington without Donald Trump. And so they're going to do whatever people who go into government. Sorry, I'm detouring here for a moment. People who go into government who say, I'm a person of achievement in my own right. I've had a career. I've done certain things. They're the ones who stand up and say, I'm going to resign rather than do these things. There are things that I will not do because I'm a person grounded in my own, background and experience. All of these people around Trump know that basically without Trump, they don't exist in politics. This is why I keep saying he's the patron saint of the third string. And so none of these people are going to stop him. They are going to enable this to the maximum extent they can, because that is not just what Trump wants, but that's congruent with their personal interest and their ability to stay, in the Emerald City.
I want to play something for you. It's a little long, but I want you to watch it because this has to do with the media. Now they're talking about new media here, all right? And that's what this little briefing was about, inviting new media in to talk and try to get new media for them to. I was
going to say that term itself is again a term, new media.
Yeah. What they mean are MAGA and conservative influencers that they had there, right? And because as new media, right, someone who's in the digital space now, I applied for press credentials for the White House, right? Never heard from them. And you would think if they're going to do new media, they would want all kinds of voices in there. But it seems
my sweet summer child.
But it seems the folks that they want in the briefing room or want whatever in these new media briefings, they only want conservatives. And so, or MAGA folks, or people who are going to kiss their butts.
They don't want right? Not conservatives, certain kind of conservatives.
Yeah, MAGA conservatives. So I listen to this because he's talking about the media. It's just a bizarre, and it seems so petty to me that a president would stoop to this level to discuss the issues that he's discussing in the way he's doing it. Here it is.
That we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get published. Stop saying we're lying. We're not. We risk our lives every day to do the job that you guys are too afraid to do.
What network would you say is the worst, if I could ask?
Oh, man, that's a real tight spot.
Honestly, it's a simple question.
Well, there's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them, so I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly talking about.
Say, which network?
MSNBC, for sure.
Oh, they're terrible. I agree. They're
CNN, probably close, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rate it that way, yeah. MSNBC, that's Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
That he allows that to happen is a disgrace.
You see what he's doing there, right?
CNN is second.
Yeah.
I would say CNN is not quite as bad as MS.
MSNBC is not really a news site anymore.
Oh, MSNBC is sick. Yeah. They're sick.
Well, sir, it's also just the stories that they publish about what's the ICE enforcement operations that are so heavily slanted that it's no longer, as I was saying, no longer just Antifa, but Americans that are becoming radicalized. So they've been very irresponsible with how they've been reporting.
Who is that?
MSNBC, for example,
would you rate them the worst?
Probably.
Who would you rate second?
Well, they ran a story about an operation in Southern California about how a father of 3 Marines was arrested, and they made it seem like they just did it because he's brown.
Okay, Tom, and did you catch that? The Brian Roberts, he's calling them out, right? That's a warning shot to Brian Roberts. Watch yourself. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then CNN, whatever, CNN is probably going to get bought by Ellison, which is another conservative. And it's going to go, if it is bought, it's going to go into the conservative category along with CBS and 60 Minutes. And then, so here we go. We're in for a new era. But what did you think of that? Why is he even talking about this? And why does he care so much?
Because he is the thinnest skinned man on the planet. I mean, he
sounds like an idiot, Tom. He sounds petty.
But Don, I mean, you've been around New York for a long time. You remember the old Donald Trump long ago. Oh, I first moved to New York in the first time I ever went to New York. I was there for grad school in the early 80s. And even I knew, because Donald Trump was ubiquitous. He's been like this his whole life. He takes every slight, nurses it. His life is about grudges and grievance and vengeance. And I think that's actually, I hate to say this, but that's a big part of his appeal. I think a lot of Democrats, a lot of liberals, a lot of pro-democracy, generically pro-democracy people who oppose Trump still have this idea that, well, people voted for him because eggs were expensive and, inflation was getting to 6% and mortgage. There are millions of people who love this. This is their reality TV show. Who's Trump going to get even with this week? And I think that's when we talked earlier about nobody stops him from doing this. He knows his base. He knows what they want to see. And they want to see this kind of a reality show where he calls out all the networks that they don't watch and have no idea, what's on them as the enemy, as, as the people that are out to get him and out to get them. And by implicating, you hear this when he's talking to these younger guys, right? That there's a resentment there, that these are the media establishment that look down on us, that we're the ones doing the real work and these guys don't. And, who are they when we're the ones that, are really on the ground? And it's just resentment and grievance all the way down.
Tom Nichols, man, I appreciate what you do more than you know.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's just such great work, and you're always right on it. Maybe it's because we always think very similarly, and so, but also
who's the best media figures, Don?
Who are the best media? Well, Tom Nichols,
people who agree with me clearly. But thank you, I appreciate it.
There's one other guy I do like. I don't know if you like him, but I do like John Hughley. I think he's a good dude.
Oh, sure. Except John and I always disagree about music. He hasn't ever let me get off of the fact that I hate Led Zeppelin. And
wait! I'm going to hang up right now. You don't like Led Zeppelin? You don't like Robert Plant? Like what is going on? I hate Led Zeppelin.
Heileman's been on me for like 10 years about Led Zeppelin, and I just can't. It's the one place where we in everything else we have no problem, but when it comes to Zeppelin. John just won't let me off that hook. I can't deal with him, Don.
Your eye that keeps shining.
No,
like a star that can't wait for a night.
Actually, it's worse than that. Heileman and I got into a fight because I said I would rather listen to the first Boston album forever rather than listen to Led Zeppelin.
Well, the only issue, which is a big issue that I have with Led Zeppelin, is just how much of the music that they stole from other people.
Well,
and those lawsuits,
I can't take Robert Plant's voice. Nothing against Mr. Plant. He's a great, pillar of rock and roll. Just don't like his voice.
Yeah. Well, we'll agree to disagree. But anyways, thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Tom Nichols. I'll see you later. The great Tom Nichols from The Atlantic. You got to check it out and check out his the newsletter that he writes for The Atlantic as well. Okay, so D.L. Hughley. D.L. Hughley has had it with everybody and everything. And you're going to hear from D.L. Hughley after a word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day. And this year, we're saying thank you to therapists. BetterHelp has helped over 5 million people find support. And behind every one of those stories is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone move forward. Those small moments in therapy, the right question, the safe space, that first breakthrough, they change lives. I've had my own experiences with therapy, having someone help you see the bigger picture when the world feels small. That's real healing. It's very helpful, let me tell you. So today, I want to honor those connections. And if you have never tried therapy, maybe this is your sign. BetterHelp makes it easy. With over 30,000 licensed therapists, they match you based on your needs and preferences. And if it's your first match, if it isn't quite right, well, you can switch at any time. So join millions taking a step toward better mental health. Get 10% off of your first month at betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. That's betterhelp.com/Don Lemon. This episode of the Don Lemon Show is brought to you by Graza. It's my new go-to olive oil. You know, I love to cook, whether it's dinner with friends or just experimenting late at night. Graza has changed the game. So here's why. It's fresh, like harvest date on the bottle fresh. They pick fresh and bottle their olives in the same season, which is why it tastes so bright. They've got 2 incredible extra virgin olive oils, sizzle and drizzle. Sizzle is for cooking, roasting, sauteing, tossing veggies in a pan. Drizzle is for finishing. It's like you use it on your bread or your salads, your pasta, even a little scoop of vanilla on the vanilla ice cream. I'm telling you, it works. And you can put a little bit, just a little drop or 2 in your martini. Trust me, those combos work. So at home, I keep both on my counter. Sizzle for the skillet, drizzle for the flavor. Makes everything I cook feel a little more intentional. Sometimes international. I feel like Italian. All right, and right now, Graza is running their annual site-wide sale through October 21st. Everything's 20.74% off. Yes, 20.74% off. No code needed. Go to graza.co and stock up. That's graza.co. Elevate your food game, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors. And now, here's the man, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. D.L. Hughley. D.L., you pissed off at everybody, and you're pissing everybody off. What is going on with you?
I have no idea. Literally, I have no idea what you're talking about. What did I do now?
You are mad. You're mad at Stephen A. You're mad at what's happening in Chicago. You're mad at Donald Trump. You're mad at Pam Bondi. Like, look, I guess you have a right to be mad at
I think Stephen A. is my frat brother, so I'm not. What I don't understand is why he chose Jasmine Crockett. She's a junior congresswoman. She doesn't sit. She's in the minority party. She doesn't chair any committees. So I thought his supplication for constituency. Like, I don't know what Donald Trump how he helps his constituents by going after generals or comedians or rambling on in front of the Navy. I don't know why he didn't go after Jim Jordan, who's been in Congress for 18 years, never written one piece of legislation, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has only been the mouthpiece for the president. So I thought that when you are in the opposition party, the only power you have is to oppose and to be loud about it. So the very thing that he was saying she wasn't doing for her constituents is the only lever of power she can pull. So I just thought it was misplaced.
Why would he go after her?
I think that I can't speak to his motives, but it does seem that he has found a way to kind of echo a lot of people on the right wing and what they're thinking and saying. So I can't say why he would do it, but I think that his assessment of what it's ridiculous to say that working with someone, if you're an elected official who's in a minority party, like literally your only power is to oppose the opposition party. That's what they have. Like right now, the only thing they can say is no. They can't say yes to anything. They can just say no. And I think that it's misplaced. I think she's not the president of the United States of America. She's not the majority party. She's not the president of the United States. The Republicans have the presidency, the Senate, the Congress, and many people would say the Supreme Court. So how did she draw your eye? I didn't understand.
Yeah. You watching the stuff going down in Chicago, right?
Right.
What do you think? What are you thinking?
I think that there is a reason that I think that it is the Southern, it's the Civil War all over again. We have Southern troops invading a northern city. And I think that Donald Trump is hoping that something happens. So I think that this is all by design. I think that it says a lot about who we are as a nation and the kinds of things that we believe. Because this is clearly no one is saying no. Like he, as his ability, like if you look at Chicago, it isn't what he says it is, but he's using the power of he's bullying people and basically doing what he wants, whether they want to come or not. And I've never seen anybody use the military like this.
Yeah.
Anybody in this country. Now it's been done. The authoritarians have done it all over the world, and people know it's wrong. They're afraid of him, but they know it's wrong.
Yeah. I want to put Chicago on hold for now, and I want to get back to. I want to play this. This is from Stephen A. And then I want to get your response. Here it is.
Okay.
Our Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself. I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency.
Oh,
because
Lord.
like Joe
Okay.
Manchin said,
Okay.
he's
All
there
right.
to represent.
Enough already.
Or was there for 15
It's such a
I'm good.
Now, I love Steve. He's my friend, but like I said earlier, it is disingenuous, stupid. This Congress and this president is winning. Everything for them is transactional. Everything for him is transactional. The bottom line is the Democrats holding up the government being shut down is that the Democrats do not want America's health care costs to go. They don't want them to go. They don't want them to be unmanageable. Now, all they can do is say no. The only power they have is to be an impediment, to be loud, to shine a light on things. And it's disingenuous for him to have that conversation. Look at how badly this president talks about other people.
Yeah.
And you say nothing about that. Look at the things he says about people. You tried to use the power and weight of the presidency to get people you didn't like to lose their jobs and got angry when they got them back. And this is what you come up with? Like we have, your farmers that voted for you and supported you can't sell soybeans, and you're worried about Bad Bunny, and you're worried about Rosie O'Donnell, and you're worried about game show hosts. Late night hosts. So there's a whole lot of people. If we're going to argue the efficacy of Congress, I think Stephen A. has more. I think Congress isn't representing his constituents. I think they're not. But it's a whole bunch of people before you get to Jasmine Cross.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like, look, I get it about Stephen A. Stephen A. has said some things. Stephen A. has opened his mouth about me about things that he had no idea about. And all he had to do was call me to fact check or to ask me. Never picked up the phone. He has my number. And so I'm like, what is Stephen A.'s agenda? I wonder if it's just to cozy up to the right. Is it just money? I don't know. Maybe he just believes those things.
I think that it is not coincidental that many of his takes end up on Fox News. I don't think that that's happenstance. I think that is a deliberate. Listen, I say some pretty bad things, and every time I've ended up on Fox News because I was saying something they didn't like. It's interesting that most of the things he says they do.
Yeah.
So I don't know that means. I don't. Other than that, I had a conversation with Stephen, and I said that I would be judicious about the things that I took umbrage with, and this is one of those things. I think it's a disingenuous argument. I can't tell you what his motivations are. I can tell you that it seems hollow when you in contrast to what you see the other party doing. That's crazy. You never hold them accountable. Like he got mad at a senator for asking, the Christy Noem a question, and when they threw him on the ground, he was talking about the senator could have waited. Like, come on, that's he takes some takes that's sometimes problematic.
To me, it just seems self-serving. I'm like, who is this meant to help? Is it designed to help Stephen? Is he somehow positioning himself for this, the next contract or the money or the next people who are taking over the company? It just seems always self-serving and not really good for his own people. And really,
but I don't know who his people. I don't know who his people are. Like I don't know who he is. If you don't know, if it's self-serving, then your people is you, right? So I don't understand. I don't understand the point he is trying to make. I can obviously that's not true. I can understand the point he's trying to make. I just think that he's starting. The leadership stopped from the top down. He would like us to believe he started from the bottom down. And I think that it always seems to fall into a familiar pattern of him picking the same people that the right has singled out. So I don't know why that is.
To me, this whole idea, it seems naive, this whole idea about working with the other side. This isn't a working with the other side administration.
It's not.
That's not how this works.
No,
and remember, let me just tell you something. So I tried to work with the other side, so to speak, because I knew someone, and I went on the show and thinking that they were going to abide by, you know, journalistic code and all of that. And you told me, you were like, no, that's not the era we're in, Don. You got to light their ass up when you go on. That's what you said. And that's how I feel about what Stephen A. said. I think
that wait, you know, I was moderating Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris's book, and she constantly referred to we. She was talking about we. Well, our we's aren't the same. Our we's are not the same. We're not we're supposed to be the United States of America, but it's clearly the cities and blue states do not have representation at all. They're a little more than cannon fodder for him. Like, I will deny anything that I can. I will throw your cities there and do it. We're not a bad doing this has.
We lost him. So maybe let's see if we can dial him back. We'll get him back. In the meantime, this is a perfect opportunity. We're going to get DL back. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, more with DL when we come right back. The Don Lemon Show is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation, defending the separation of church and state all across America. So right now, politicians are trying to push religion into public schools, posting the 10 Commandments, hiring chaplains with no clinical training, and diverting tax money to private religious schools that often exclude LGBTQ students and non-Christians. But Freedom from Religion is fighting back. In Texas, they just won a federal injunction blocking a law that would have forced every public classroom to display the 10 Commandments. They're defending the First Amendment in court, in Congress, and in classrooms to keep education truly public and protect every student's freedom. So don't let your rights be rewritten. Learn more at ffrf.us/school or text DON, that's DON, to 511-511. Text fees may apply. Again, ffrf.us/school or text DON to 511-511. Support for the show comes from Shopify, the platform that helps millions of people turn their ideas into real businesses like me. So when I launched the Don Lemon Show, it started as a dream, a big one, but Shopify made it possible to actually build something sustainable. Whether you are selling merch, candles, or the next big idea, Shopify is the all-in-one platform that makes it easy. You don't have to be a tech genius. They've got ready-to-go templates, AI tools to help write product descriptions, and 24/7 support when you get stuck. Plus, they make your brand discoverable. You can run email and social campaigns right inside Shopify and track what is working in real time. You know it's working, you know it's not. So stop asking, what if? And start saying, why not? So turn that dream into a ka-ching with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon, and start building what's next. Thanks to all of our sponsors. I feel like Genie or Bewitched, where I can just do that. And we thank all of our sponsors. We like you for helping us stay viable on these streaming streets. DL Hughley is back. So DL, can we talk about someone else that was involved in a bit of a controversy this week? This is Van Jones on Bill Maher's show.
But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of,
I see it differently. And I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, right. Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically your whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
That view is not.
DL, what say you?
I think the fact that he would say something like that is less repulsive. The way that Bill and the gentleman Howard, how they and the audience reacted. No one thought that it was disgusting. Nobody thought that it was offensive. Um, I think that Van Jones has managed to do something I've very rarely seen done, which is to look like a erudite, caring human, but to act like a ghoul. And I think that Van Jones has all the integrity of a wind chime. It depends on what the subject is. He takes the temperature of whatever situation that I've never liked him. I think he's a disingenuous human being. I think you can't go from activist, a human rights activist, to making jokes about children that are being slaughtered through no fault of their own. And I will say this, every single human rights organization on the face of the earth, all of the whole of Europe, all of our allies, the entire UN have all said what's going on here. So they're fooling everybody up, apparently except Van Jones and Bill Maher. So they it's the people Nick Fuentes was going on as an atrocity, and Van Jones can't see it. A white supremacist can see it, but you can't. So
Wait, say that again because you cut out, DL. Say that part again.
I said Nick Fuentes has said what was going on in Gaza is an atrocity. A white supremacist think that a black human rights advocate, that's the height of irony to me.
Why do you think? Do you think it is similar to what? Do you think Stephen A. and Van Jones are similar?
I wish I knew, and I think that for me to get into the weeds in this thing and find out why people do the things they do, I can say this without equivocation. I think that either we're going to I don't know what side of the aisle people are on, but I do know this. That even if the numbers are off, the children are being slaughtered in a conflict they had nothing to do with, should be offensive and a non-starter for anybody.
I want to show you this images, and this is ICE shooting a priest with a pepper ball. Watch this, DL, if you can. That's the priest. And then there is another priest as well who was also shot. And when I see these images, I don't know if you see this one, when I see these images, it just sickens me. And I wonder, why people aren't out on the streets. And I know that some people are concerned about, yesterday the head of the NAACP was on and they said, well, this is a different time and the administration is basically lawless. So I'm not saying, I'm not sure being out on the streets and protesting is the right thing, especially for Black people. What do you think when you see this shit?
I think that the more things change, the more the citizens say. I think that, in June 1st, 1921 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, there was a riot and people got in airplanes and firebombed Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Greenwood district. 300 people died, including children, and no one was ever being brought to account for it. In Philadelphia, Operation Move, they dropped a military-grade incendiary device on an apartment building, and no one was brought to account of it. This past weekend on the 30th, they raided an apartment building in Chicago, took naked children out in zip ties. So we're seeing I think that sometimes we think that we've come further than we have, but at the end of it all, the fact that this is where we have come to is not unfamiliar. It's that we're destined to repeat a history that we've seen to pretend like never happened. And this is par for the course. And I think that any Black person who didn't think that it would eventually affect Black people, that this would eventually be a challenge they can use now our color of our skin and the way we speak. Now they're saying that they're not going to honor birth certificates, and the way we speak to challenge whether we belong here or not was always this was always the plan. And if America accepts it, they'll be able to get away with it.
Chicago has a black mayor. This is how Donald Trump is referring to Mayor Brandon Johnson in Chicago.
To be the same thing in Chicago. So they've had 60, 70 murders over a short period of time. Murders, people that got shot. They've had hundreds of people shot. And then a guy like Pritzker, or this low IQ mayor, gets up. I mean, he got up, he's got a 5% approval rating. And the people are all against him. They want people to come. Beautiful black women are wearing a MAGA hat last night on television. Beautiful people. And they said, we don't care who comes, just stop the crime. They don't care, frankly, they don't care if it's National Guard and military. Send in anybody you want, stop the crime.
What you think?
I think that to insult somebody's intelligence when you can't even say acetaminophen is a bit of a stretch to me.
DL must be going through the canyons out in California, wherever he is in Los Angeles, because we've lost him. But I mean, he said that he can't even say acetaminophen says a lot when when he's trying to call someone low IQ. How much lower IQ do you get than Donald Trump? It's fascinating that someone in that position can do that. The other things that I want to talk to you about, not just what's happening in Chicago. This is what you know that. Well, this one thing, and then we'll talk about other stuff. You know that the state of Illinois is suing the Trump administration for bringing these troops there without the consent of the lawmakers there, the people who are in charge there, the leaders in the state and in the city of Chicago. This is Mayor Pritzker speaking out about what's happening in Chicago. Here it is.
You know as well as I do, the President of the United States in the last 24 hours called for you to be imprisoned. I want to give you an opportunity. We've seen your reaction on social media, but I want to hear what you have to say back to the President of the United States.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
There you go. Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. That's what he said.
We're not gonna be lectured about who should be in jail from a convicted felon. And you know, it's amazing how swiftly he got the National Guard there, and how he didn't even call them up. We keep forgetting he didn't call them up when it was an actual insurrection, an actual, and the one that he pointed at this nation's capital. And it's so disingenuous for people to pretend like his concern is America's safety. Donald Trump is the most transactional human being that ever existed. He will get something out of it, either it's self-aggrandizement or actual riches or intimidation. But this country, he is using the Constitution for little more than toilet paper. Like you might well call it charming. Like, what are you talking about?
You're a fool. DL. Oh my gosh. You're DL. I'm serious. You know, I'm out always talking to people and you're telling me I better be safe. You're like, I can't be hanging out with you because you're doing some controversial shit.
No, I can't hang out with you, Don. I called you yesterday, goddammit, and I asked you, I said, what is, like, you say some things. I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? But you wouldn't be you if you didn't scare the shit out of people, now would you?
Who am I scaring? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
But you do know what I'm talking about, and for you to pretend like you don't is disingenuous too. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, because we just talked just right now. Huh? That's okay. Yeah.
I've talked to you about hypocrisy. I talked to you about people who are.
It's the way you do it, Don. The way you do it. Yeah, we can talk about hypocrisy. Okay. I just say this: you can tell that you work for yourself. That's for goddamn sure.
Okay, so let me tell you why. I don't like hypocrisy, and I don't like, and I think that it's wrong, as you know, and I'm sure you feel the same way. But this whole idea about bringing back conversion therapy and making it legal again is, it's not only just unbelievable to me, but it's harmful I know to many people, many families, and people are going to suffer the consequences. They think you can just pray the gay away, or that you can go and send someone to a therapist. That's not how it works. And so for the Republican Party to be, going along with this when they are the ones who are closeted, many of them, the grinder, the servers go down whenever there's a big Republican event, and they're the ones. They're the big. I just interviewed a transgender woman. She says, "Look, I don't have to worry about a boyfriend as long as there are conservative MAGA guys out there. I will always have a boyfriend." And it is the number one search for pornography, if you want to say it that way, is in rural Trump areas for transgender.
Of course.
And so that's why I was calling that out. So don't be hypocrites, people, because you got secrets.
You crack me up. And I honestly believe that a lot of this has to do with people's. I think the Epstein files are going to be illuminating. I think that either you are a pedophile or you are giving aid and comfort to them. And I think that you can tell, like there's no shortage of religious leaders, conservative religious leaders who have already assessed the maladies of the Black community and what our moral failings are. But they say nothing about when one of their founding members, a guy who was supposed to be a spiritual leader for Donald Trump, was arrested for admitted to having sex with a 8-year-old girl. Or how many times they're caught with child porn, and how few of them really think that even if and how great that the majority of MAGA says that they would support him whether he was in the Epstein file or not. So I just
go on. You just what?
I just think that this level of this idea of what morality is often in conflict with the things and the way that people comport themselves. So I think, but this nation had to go through this. I think virtually everything that VP Harris said has come to pass, and they would have always said that it was fear mongering, or that it's typical liberal talking points. And now America's never really had to prove itself into what its ideals were, and if it had the moral fortitude to do the right thing when times like this happen, and then we'll see.
Yeah. So this is what I say before. That's why I say this. So I don't know if you've noticed, it comes across my feed and the stories every day because I get alerts, right, for all news stories. This is one. Stepson of the founder of a Christian anti-porn software has been arrested for attempting to meet a 14-year-old girl for sex. Let's see. And then a South Alabama man was given $300,000 bond after police said he, a girl under 12 years old, and he's some conservative influencer somewhere. Let's see. And it just one after the other, right? We can watch. According to the records obtained by Metro Times, state representative, an anti-LGBTQ MAGA Republican pushed for the pornography ban, Joseph Shriver, has been linked to a fetish group sex fling account. I mean, over and over, and it's always it has something to do with children and kids, and it's just the hypocrisy. There's another guy. I don't have to read them to you. You know what I'm talking about. You see them coming across your feed.
And I think that they are repressed. I think it's always interesting to me whenever I hear somebody tell me, and this is unfortunate, but the way I honestly feel about it, whenever I hear a conservative man tell me how much he loves God, I wonder who he hates and what he does in the dark. And I think you couldn't have the things that we have here unless it was abetted by people. 80% or 70% of registered sex offenders in America are middle-aged white dudes. Texas has more registered sex offenders than any other country. They have 80,000. I'm not talking about percentage-wise. They have actually more registered sex offenders than any other where in the country. So this isn't just, but when we talk about crime and we talk about the maladies of our communities, and when we talk about this country, they never talk about the things. Everybody has a quick fix and a great idea for what's going on with the Black community, but never the things that they're involved in and the things they allow. And our children are just not safe around men and women. I think they have a low regard for the safety of men or of women and children in America.
Yeah.
Like you
Well,
got a guy who was an adjudicated rapist, and you expect him to, and who are obviously is in the Epstein file. To what degree, I don't know, but obviously, and who consorts with. Used to be a time that if you were a rapist or a pedophile, that was the death knell. Now, even if look at who is always in that close proximity to people who are either sexual assaulters, rapists, or pedophiles. He's always like how is that your circle?
Yeah.
How is
Well,
that your circle?
I agree with you. He would say, and his lawyers would say, by the way, that it was in a civil court and he was found liable for sexual abuse. But then the judge later said it was akin to what you just said.
I'll tell you what, one thing's for sure. We've been friends for a good little while. I've never given a birthday card to a pedophile. Ever. Ever.
D.L. Hughley. That's a good one to end on. Do you want me to stop? Should I pull back? Am I going too far with this?
No, man. I got you. No, maybe no, never mind. It was so bad. I had to call you to see if it was AI. Like, are they trying to lie on my brother? Nope, it was him.
D.L. Hughley, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, baby.
All right,
in a couple of weeks, we're gonna be at the City Winery. As soon as you set it up, I'll see you soon.
It's either gonna be in Chicago or Detroit.
All right. Well, depending on what city isn't under U.S. occupation. So let's see. I think. All right. I love you, brother.
DL.
Take care,
Thank
man.
You.
Be
You
good.
as well. You as well. Thank you.
For sure.
All right, everybody. That was D.L. Hughley. And I love having D.L. on because he never, ever, ever holds back. Then he has the nerve to tell me that he's scared of what I'm doing, that he's going to need a security guard to be with me. Come on, D.L. Hughley. Anyways, listen, guys, if you want to know anything about the Don Lemon Show, you can go to donlemon.com to find out anything that you want about the show. We would appreciate you becoming a subscriber if you're not, and we'd appreciate you becoming a member. Just because you're a member does not mean you're a subscriber, and just because you're a subscriber does not mean you're a member. And that's how we stay viable. That's how I can continue to do this, is through your generosity and because of your support. So thank you for supporting us. We appreciate it. You can click on any one of those things there on the Don Lemon Show. And you can click on the YouTube or click on the merch. Let's go to the merch. If you click on the YouTube, you know how to do that. You can go and you subscribe and you can join as well. But this is our merch. This one is also that I have right here. This one says Lemon Nation. You can see it better. The lighting is better this evening. And so this says Lemon Nation. And then I used my popcorn thing the other day. I should have used it today because I had some popcorn in the middle of the day. But also, if you buy this stuff, if you purchase some of the merch, you acquire it, and you put it on and take a picture, we will put it on the program here for you. So let's see who we have. Who is this? Oh my gosh. Too much cuteness. Two very cute people there. And I think dogs are people, yes. Who's this?
This is Dana and Honey Pie from Salt Lake City.
Hi, Dana and Honey Pie. Thank you for the support of the Lemon Nation. And I love that. I'm going to have to go to Salt Lake, and I haven't been there for a long, long time. I did a speaking engagement there. A couple of them. And I did some reporting, some political reporting there. So what is it? It's Honey Pie and who?
Dana.
Dana. Thank you, Dana. Thank you for supporting. Thank you, Honey Pie. Oh, I love that shirt.
Got John Murphy. He has
Hello.
2 photos for us.
Hey, John Murphy. Thank you, handsome gent. Like the beard. I like the shirt. And old people be knowing. Now, we got to get you a hat. I like your hat. But we got to get you, is that... I think this is Ukraine, right? Is that the Ukrainian? I can't see on my computer. It looks like the Ukrainian flag. But anyways, thank you for that. And we got to get you a Don Lemon Show hat. And who is this beautiful lady?
This is Christy from Richmond, Virginia.
Hi, Christy from Richmond, Virginia. I wonder if these folks are ever watching when we put their photos up. I love that you have our fan because you are Don Lemon's biggest fan and she's gorgeous. And look at her. All right, now we see you. We see you with that face and the body. I'm just saying. Next.
That's all
it
for today. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So I did not check with my mom yesterday. Can you believe I've gone a day without talking to my mom? I didn't check to see if she's been texting me all day, but I didn't ask her if she saw the birthday shout out yesterday. Okay, guys, please be informed without being inundated until I see you back here. By the way, thank you so much for your support. I mean, seriously, I can't sometimes I don't even go out in the afternoon because people come up to me on the street and it's kind of crazy. The Lemon Nation is growing strong. So be informed without being inundated. And until I see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Live, 10 a.m. Eastern Time for Hot Topics. Turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.